Hello, YouTube. Sir Dragon X here. If you're a temporary or permanent resident card holder here in Mexico, don't make this fatal mistake or you'll lose your residency. I'm going to discuss that in the video coming up next. So, you've attained your residency card here in Mexico. You're living your dream life here in Mexico, but even though you don't want to leave, for whatever reason, you need to go back home or you need to plan a vacation in another country. There is one thing that you never want to do when you return back to Mexico. Never, and I mean never, let immigration check you back in as a tourist. This will result in your immediate cancellation of your residency card. Believe it or not, this happens sometimes, and it's an honest mistake, but this mistake can be very costly. This mistake will cost you your residency. Okay, now you got the answer on what not to do to avoid losing your residency. So it's really simple, right? Well, yes and no. In this video, I'm going to explain what steps that you can take to make sure that you don't lose your residency due to a simple error on your part or on immigration's part. Yes, I said it right. Sometimes it can be an error on the immigration officer's part. Immigration has recently upgraded their entry system with new technology to expedite entry into Mexico. With that has come the inception of the paperless electronic FMM. Also, they are starting to place automated kiosks in several airports in Mexico. I did several previous videos explaining how Mexico was eliminating the paper entry and exit form, also known as the FMM. In my previous videos, I explained how the immigration law was amended to allow immigration the ability to utilize technology to expedite entry and exit of individuals in and out of Mexico. Now, it looks like these new entry measures are moving along quickly. Although there are still some bugs to work out, there are some things that you do need to know as a resident. First, is as a resident card holder, you must check out of Mexico with immigration before departing. Second, when you arrive, you must check back in as a resident, not a tourist, and I repeat, not a tourist. Mexico requires this for statistical collection purposes. This has become somewhat confusing with the introduction of the electronic FMM system. Before, you used a paper FMM form in which you would clearly state that you were a resident card holder, but now it's a mere stamp in your passport and an entry into a computer system. There has even been further confusion with the introduction of self-service kiosks upon entry at the Cancun, Mexico City, and La Paz airports. So, what's the catch? All these systems are new, so you need to be careful when exiting and entering Mexico. It'll take some time, but eventually it'll be easier to exit and enter Mexico as a tourist or even as a resident. But for now, you need to be aware of several things. If you are watching this video after these systems have been all sorted out, there's still one thing to remember. Never, and I repeat, never enter Mexico as a tourist. You will invalidate your residency card. I can't stress that enough. The first thing that I'm going to touch on is leaving the country. This applies specifically to airports. At this time, the electronic FMM system is being integrated into the airline booking system. Several of my viewers have commented that they have been told by facilitators that they no longer have to go to the immigration office to check in as they did before. The checkout process will be done at the airline ticket counter automatically. Unfortunately, this has not been fully implemented, so you must still go to the immigration office at some airports to check out and get an exit stamp in your passport with the word salida written on it. SALIDA. I am not personally aware of what airports are officially implementing the automatic system to date. If you have recently traveled out of the country, I encourage you to leave a comment in the comment section below and share your experience. I assume that this automatic system will eventually become the norm, or maybe it already has if you're watching this video in the not too distant future. Now, what is the process of entering back into the country? You must present your passport to an immigration officer along with your residency card. Also, if for some reason you exited through a port that still uses the paper FMM, you must also present that top portion of the paper FMM that was stamped and given to you upon exit by immigration. This is the first mistake, although rare, I've seen individuals make. Some people forget to pull out their residency card when they're presenting their passport. This causes the immigration officer to assume that you're entering as a tourist. With the paper FMM, many times, since you would have a piece of paper indicating that you are a resident, you could get away with not initially presenting your card. That would cause the officer to ask you for your card to verify. Now, with the electronic system, it's more important than ever to make sure that the immigration officer knows that you are re-entering as a resident. If you are entering at an airport that is utilizing the paperless system, they will stamp your passport and write on the stamp. If you are entering as a resident, they will write the word entrada, E-N-T-R-A-D-A, or sometimes write nothing at all, and sometimes just initial it. This is where you need to be extra vigilant. If for any reason they write a date or number of days, that means they checked you in as a tourist. At this point, you need to communicate to the immigration officer that they checked you in as a tourist and not a resident. This actually happens sometimes, that the immigration officer will make that mistake. This mistake is rare, but it does happen. They should not, for any reason, put a date or number signifying the number of days that you were given permission to stay in the country. This date and number is for tourists only. If you're coming in for the first time to get your residency on a visa issued by the consulate, they should write the word canje, C-A-N-J-E, and the number 30 on your passport. They will also give you a QR code to print out your FMM to take to immigration when completing your residency process. And last but not least, the other thing that I must make you aware of is not to use the self-service kiosks at this time if you're checking in as a resident. They are only set up for tourist entry at this point. Mexico is currently setting up a Trusted Traveler program that you can read more about in the link provided below in the description section of this video. This program only lists tourists and permanent residents. I'm not sure if temporary residents were excluded from this program or if it's just an error on the website. According to the website, once you are set up as a Trusted Traveler, you can enter as a resident through the kiosk. Now, with that being said, I have been advised that as of the filming of this video, these kiosks are set up solely to function for tourist entry. Now, keep in mind that things have been changing frequently with these new systems, and Mexico is still working out the final procedures and bugs. I will keep you informed the best that I can. I hope this information was useful. Don't forget to subscribe, and see you soon.